Hey guys, it's Brent. Welcome to a Friday night. We have a live question and answer session tonight. So listen, it's going to be a little different than what we normally do. If you've got a question or a comment, drop it in the comment section down below. You can also, if anyone out there wants to actually do this with me, pop on, maybe get on cam and you have a question you want to ask live, we can do that too. Because we're just trying out some different things tonight. We've got some great questions so far. We're going to be talking about how do I release self-doubt? Big thing, right? We're going to talk, somebody asked, you talk a lot about letting go of the past. How do I do it? I'll get into that. Also, somebody asked, why do I constantly sabotage myself? Happens way more than we realize. Most of it subconsciously. So I'll go into that. Catherine has recorded a little video for you. We want to introduce you again to a series that we've done called 10 strategies to supercharge your life. And we've made them very quick, and they're powerful messages. And it's how you can start shifting, making that shift inside yourself, and you can start transforming your life from the inside out, the way that's supposed to be. So I'll get to all of those questions. Again, if you have any questions or comments, drop them down below. I'm going to keep my eyes on the comment section. All right. So the first thing we're going to talk about, let's talk about how do I release self-doubt, because that's the first question that was asked today. So I'm going to go into that. And I'll tell you what, so many people suffer with this, and people think they're doing things wrong. You start to feel that stress and you think, well, maybe I'm doing something wrong. And really, it's not as simple as people think, right? So let's talk about that. Self-doubt is probably, if you would think about it, it's probably the most powerful limiting force in our lives. And you know what? It always goes unchecked. We never pay any attention. So what happens is it starts to define who we are, and it starts to determine what we're able to do. And that should be scary as hell to you, because think about it. Your subconscious is letting you, is deciding for you. And, there's definitely a challenge to this, but there's a way to win this, like any game or any challenge, right? It doesn't matter where you are in your life. It doesn't matter right now if you work at Starbucks or if you're CEO of a huge company. At some point, you're going to have moments when your confidence starts to falter and you start to doubt yourself. Well, self-doubt is powerful. It's probably one of the most powerful enemies that we have, because it can strike anywhere. It can strike in our workplace, and in our life, and with our loved ones. It becomes a troubling and persuasive voice. And what it does, it holds you back. It holds you back from seizing opportunities, for making decisions and taking risks. Learning how to defeat it is so crucial for success. You've got to destroy that self-doubt. Now, Norman Vincent Peale, the famous author, once said, change your thoughts and you change the world. And man, truer words were never spoken. So I'm going to give you some of my tips on powerful ways that you can start eliminating self-doubt in your life. Now, the first thing that you can do is start with awareness. All right? Start with awareness. Self-awareness is very crucial. It's actually critical in figuring out self-doubt, and especially in overcoming it. The more you know about yourself, the better you'll start to understand what's holding you back. And the more empowered you are going to be to do something about it. Now, also, it's important to find the source. If you spend a little bit of time, and nobody likes to do that, digging in deep, into their personal self, but you can start to look for the origins of those insecurities. Because remember, our subconscious mind was programmed before we were 10 years old. We weren't logical. We were kids. What made us survive then is no longer relevant to our lives. And it's important to be able to take a look at the programs that are still running to this day inside of our heads. All right? It's important too to know what your triggers are. You get around somebody that triggers you, and your back starts to get up. You start to get those emotions, those feelings. The things that trigger you to feel self-doubt and other emotions negative emotions. They're messengers. They're messengers from the unhealed part of who you are. Because it takes both compassion and it takes analysis, self-analysis, to identify your triggers. That's when somebody's touching your stuff. You know, when someone gets a little too close to something inside you that you've got pushed away and it starts to flare up a little bit, that should be a gold mine for you, because those feelings are your warning signs. Those signs let you know that you're about to be sucked in to some situation, to some drama. All right. Next, it's important to start looking for patterns. All of this takes some work. You have to connect with your inner self. And nobody usually wants to do this work because, again, you've got to look at all parts of yourself. And that includes the parts that we don't want to see. So start looking for patterns. We all tend to do things in familiar ways. As a matter of fact, it's important to remember that the voice inside your head is not the voice of God. It's not the universe talking to you. It's not, some fortune teller telling you your future. That voice is just the voice of your conditioned past. It's throwing up things that are similar to things that happened in the past because it makes your mind comfortable. It makes your mind feel like it's protecting you. Okay? But if you start looking for patterns, you can see what's worked for you before, what hasn't worked for you, and what you continue to keep doing. The more you understand your specific triggers and what they are, you start to figure out self-doubt. You begin to pick up the patterns. You analyze your past behavior and you make adjustments moving forward. And what happens then is, as you work through those things, the energy, the willpower, the life force that you use to hold those things inside you, when they're free, that energy, that power returns to you, and you are able to push it in your life, direct it in your life to where it matters. Now, I've worked with successful people all over the world, and there's not one person I've ever worked with that's been successful, that's been a celebrity or a professional athlete or a president or a prime minister that doesn't understand mind power, that doesn't understand how they can laser focus on the things that really matter. All right. Next, find your motivation. Because another way to counter self-doubting thoughts is by connecting to your purpose, connecting to your inspiration. Remember why you're doing what you do, and then recommit to giving it your very best. Find your motivation within yourself, because that's how you eliminate self-doubt. We're always looking for someone outside of us, some guy, some girl, a parent, a coach, somebody that will give us happiness, that will make us happy. That's not how it works. It's an inside job. You got to stop looking for outside approval, because when you have to be validated all the time, what are you doing? Think about it. You've given up your power. You've now put your power directly in the hands of someone else, and they're in charge of either validating you or not, making you happy or not. It's ridiculous. It's a vicious cycle. Ask for advice and listen to those you trust. But remember, you're the one that has to live with the consequences of your decision. You make those decisions boldly, and then you don't look back. Okay? This is going to sound like one of those airy-fairy things, but what I'm telling you next is important. You have to invest some time in some positive affirmations, some visualization, some confidence mantras, okay? Replacing negative messages with positive self-talk is one of the most important things you can do to eliminate self-doubt. Think about what your mind is saying all day long. Think about the negative BS that's going on inside your head. We don't even pay attention to it most of the time. And that is the voice that's constantly going, your bitchy roommate, I call it. It's living up there in your head rent-free and narrating your life and always telling you the worst case scenario of everything that's going to happen, right? The most important thing is stop making excuses. We all do it. And man, I can see it. I see it in the group. I see it in clients we work with. I see it in myself. We all do it. But it is the quickest way to get over self-doubt is to stop making excuses, to stop giving up your power. You know, one of the things that's so hard for people to understand is because everyone wants to be right, and they think right equals, being right equals being reasonable. And that, that's not how it works. The world is not a reasonable place. Oftentimes, almost every time, you can set up these little games for yourself and you can lose, but you can still be right. And you can tell your friends and your family, and they'll agree with you. Wow, you should have got that promotion. You should have done that. How wronged you were. Big deal. You got to let it go. How long do you carry this shit around for your entire life? Most people do. They're talking about shit that happened 30 years ago. Those excuses get in your way. Those excuses become roadblocks. Those excuses have to be eliminated immediately if you want to get on the correct path. And another thing that's important is practicing compassion, because it's very easy to extend compassion to other people, but very few people are able to manage their self-criticism and their self-doubt with self-compassion. Because being compassionate to yourself, first of all, gives you peace of mind. And it's going to help you with your mental state, your physical state. It's very gentle, but it's powerful. And sometimes it's that kind of practice that will make things different. And last but not least, if I could give you one secret to eliminating self-doubt in your life, it would be stop waiting for perfection. And I did this for years and years. If it wasn't exactly right, I wouldn't make the move. We're killing ourselves because perfectionism is a natural trait, but there's no better way to feed self-doubt. So instead of overthinking things and thinking things that are going to happen and will never happen the way you think and all of this BS, start giving yourself permission to get started, even if you don't know the outcome, even if you're unsure even what to do. The only limit to our realization of tomorrow are going to be our doubts of today. Now, FDR said that, and it's so true. The most important change you can make is to put to rest that voice in your head that tells you you're not deserving, that tells you you're not smart enough, that tells you you're not thin enough, that you're not young enough, that you're not good enough, because it's all BS and you're doing it to yourself. Okay? Yourself. So that was our first question, which I hope I answered for you. And next was you talk about letting go, because we do talk about that a lot. And I just kind of talked about it there too. You talk a lot about letting go of the past. How do I do that? Well, this is one of those things. If you could do this, you could be about 95% of the way to where you want to be. It's incredibly difficult. Nobody ever said it was easy, but it's absolutely necessary. It's necessary if you want to make these sweeping changes in your life. So, how do you do it? How do you let go of the past? Well, you have to train your mind to let those sad experiences go. They're no longer serving you. They serve no purpose. Your mind, or the voice inside your head, is just your conditioned past. It's like I just said, when you hear that voice talking, it's just telling you things that are similar to things that happened in the past. So you're walking down the street and a guy comes towards you that looks like a guy that jumped you 20 years ago in high school, and you start to get nervous and your stomach starts to hurt and you start to feel all these weird emotions. Now the guy next to you who doesn't have that experience feels completely fine. The guy coming near you does not have that power over you. He is not doing that to you. You are doing it to yourself. And you're allowing your mind to do it to you. So how often does something happen to us and we just feel like we cannot move on? No matter how hard we try, we're living in the past. It's like you're walking around with they don't even make, I was going to say with a phone booth on your shoulders. They don't even have phone booths anymore. But you're carrying this heavy burden around you and it gets you stuck. And what does everybody say? And people have said it to me. They tell you, let go. It's not as easy as it sounds. I get it. It sounds simple. It feels hard. But, not everything is easy. We are in a society that wants everything now. They want the pill to fix this and this. We feel emotions, we take a pill. Someone dies, we get on antidepressants. We are meant to go through these things. We are not meant to suppress them. We're not meant to take something we don't like, push it down inside of us, hold it there with our willpower, and try to forget about it. Yet every time that anything close to that comes up in our mind, all the emotion floods back. And why does that happen? Because your body does not know the difference between doing something or thinking about it. So think about that secret I just dropped on you. It's absolutely true. Look this up. For decades, they figured this out. If you were to sit and imagine doing something or actually doing it, your body, your mind does not know the difference. All right. It's like when somebody gets a placebo, they do like a controlled study and they work on a new cancer drug or something. And a bunch of people get the placebo, the sugar pill. But the mind is a powerful thing. And the people actually believe they're getting the medicine. They start getting healed. And that's what happens, but you've got to start training your mind. So people will say, let it go. I say it all the time too. But you can't just stop holding the grudge, right? You can't just get over the betrayal. And every time you move on, what happens? Those pictures of the past come flooding into your consciousness, and they're totally taking over your mind. Rumination is a curious habit. That's like, binge watching a bunch of bad movies on Netflix or something. That's what happens when we cannot let go of the past. Ruminations, when you start looping, when you fall into situations and questions you can't answer. Why does this happen to me? Why am I so, blah, blah, blah. These are questions that have no answer, and you start looping. We make sad stories play nonstop. Sad songs. People listen to the sad music and they cry. The more we watch our life's reruns, the more it hurts. What if I told you it's possible to stop this process? But first, before we can stop it, you have to understand why we get stuck in the first place. You have to stop losing yourself into the past. We live about 40% of the time in the past, thinking about things we've done, mistakes that we've made, relationships that didn't work out, would've, could've, should've. We spend the other 40% of the time in the future, worrying about stuff that's never going to happen, not the way we think, especially worried about, the job interview, worried about the relationship, worried about this or that, or earthquakes or whatever it is. So what is happening is we're spending 40% of our time in the past and 40% of our time in the future and 20% of our time here right now. And that's the only time when you can get into that programming in your subconscious and change it for the better and make lasting change. Otherwise, when you're in the past or in the future, which really don't exist, because the past is just former nows and the future will never be here, because when it finally gets here, it will be now. This is the moment that you have. This is your entry point to take control. And we're always worried about the next moment. We're never satisfied with the moment here. Think about it. It's always something else you're looking forward to, something down the line. Even the simplest things, you're making coffee, but that's not the goal. The goal is to drink the coffee. So you're always looking to the next moment for the payoff. And the payoff never comes that way. You've got to stop losing yourself in the past. If we can't change it, and we can't, why? Why do we continue to live it? Well, look, in neuroscience, they talk about this. The brain handles negative and positive information differently. Negative experiences, they require much more thinking. And then that means they're processed more thoroughly. This causes our brains to become better at remembering adverse events. Our brain is 2-to-1 better at remembering bad things, negative things than the good. If you ask yourself, how many fantastic times of bliss have you had in your life? You could probably count them on one hand. If you were to ask yourself, how many negative experiences, or how many times was I scared shitless, or how many, you could go on and on and on with thousands of times. That's completely ass backwards, right? Reliving sad memories makes us like a hamster in that wheel, because no matter how hard we try, we're never going to get anywhere. You can't change how your brain works. That's not why we're here. We're not trying to get you to change your brain. We're here to get you to take advantage of how the brain works. All right? But because you can train yourself to get off the hamster wheel. All right? It requires cutting the emotional attachment we have with the past, especially negative experiences. We usually have a hard time accepting that someone hurt us. Recognizing an unhappy ending makes us feel weak. It makes us feel embarrassed. Now, one of my favorite spiritual writers in the world is probably Eckhart Tolle. And Eckhart Tolle I think it was in the New York Times, in an interview, he said this: there is a fine balance between honoring the past and losing yourself in it. You can acknowledge and learn from the mistakes you made and then move on. It's called forgiving yourself. Well, you get the point. To move on, you have to reframe your relationship with the past. And sometimes that's all it takes, is just a subtle reframing of the past. So first, stop trying to be the hero of your story. We've all been hurt. It's sad. It's embarrassing. No one wants to look like an idiot. No one wants to look weak. And that's why we construct this idealized version of ourselves, this pretty much AI version of us that appears when we slip we slip onto autopilot and we slip out of the now, right? You don't need to continue rehashing your past to keep it alive. Make peace with the end, especially if it was an ugly end of whatever it was, and move on. There are people that are still holding grudges against people that have been dead 20, 30 years. It's poisoning you. They're dead and gone, and their energy is somewhere else. But you are still being victimized. You are still feeling those feelings. You're still giving your control away because you're letting others define who you are. So blaming others when things go wrong, it makes us lose our control. We're letting them define the terms of how we live our life. You cannot control what other people do, but you can control how you react to it. Now, I'm sure you heard that before. But focusing on what people did to you is a distraction. And it's a distraction that's going to get you nowhere. Regain control of what you can manage and choose to live life on your terms, your rules. Are you still living on rules that were selected for you in your childhood? You're now a grown adult and you're living with rules that were made up before you were 10 years old, all right? The most important thing you can do to let go of the past, and probably the most important thing of all, is you have to forgive yourself. Because when something goes wrong, we always blame ourselves. We give someone else chance after chance after chance, but never ourselves. We're the hardest on ourselves. We have a hard time accepting mistakes that we make, especially when we've got that perfectionist attitude. So look, next time you make a mistake, you don't have any judgment about it. You don't kick yourself about it. You just accept it. We all do it. You learn to forgive yourself because errors can be corrected. You know, it's not like you murdered someone. You made a stupid mistake at work or whatever it was. Mistakes are not a final destination. The game's not over. You know, it's just a stop that prepares us for our journey. And we're on this journey of awakening together. That's why you're here. There is so much that we don't know. You know, it's like one of my favorite lines of all time is, you know, in life, there are the things that you know. There are the things that you know that you don't know. Like, I know I don't know how to water ski, but I know that. But most important of all are those things that you don't know, because there is so much more out there. All right. There's so much more going on. There is something out there. There is something about human potential that we don't know, that most of us don't know, that when you know it, it changes everything. All right. Another piece of letting go of the past is not to let your problems define you. All right. Because what happens, we create and we maintain problems because it gives us a sense of identity. Sometimes those kind of problems, as bad as they are comforting because at least it's the same thing. And we're used to it. We're building up a tolerance to it. The unknown is much scarier for most people than pain. They can at least deal with that. So most of our struggles, I would argue probably almost all of our struggles, they come from attachment. They stem from attachment. We are so in love with someone that we can't separate the me from the we. We're so passionate about our career that we let our job titles define our identity. There's nothing wrong with loving someone. There's nothing wrong with loving your job. The problem is when you are so attached to them that the fear of losing them doesn't allow us to enjoy today because we're always worried. The fear is always there. The idea of the Teflon mind. Remember the Teflon Don? It was the gangster who they tried and tried and tried, and he would always get out of it. And they called him the Teflon Don because everything seemed to slide off of his back, like a Teflon skillet. But letting go of the past is not forgetting what happened. Most people think, that's what people think, that it's, you're forgetting it or you're letting the person off the hook. It's letting go of our expectations. We don't suffer because a relationship ended. We suffer because we wanted that relationship to last forever. That is where the suffering is. So instead of letting broken expectations get stuck in your mind, honor the positive experiences. Honor the positive experiences in the past and in the present. Most people cannot let go of the past because they don't appreciate their present. You've got to reframe. Reframing our relationship with our past, it allows us to stop thinking of how things should have been, how things could be, and accept them for what they are. That's the most powerful position you could ever be in, is to be in a position where the reality is unfolding in front of you. You're able to see true reality, not the reality that we see, which is through the lens of our past, but you're actually able to see true reality in front of you. Letting go of the past doesn't mean that things weren't good. Doesn't mean that things weren't good while they lasted. It's about remembering the good moments instead of allowing an unhappy ending to cloud everything else. If you want to let go of the past, you have to start appreciating what you have here and now in your present. So a great thing that I talk about a lot is doing a gratitude journal, and I do one every day. I'm up to 90 minutes in the morning of exercises, which is meditation and transcendental meditation and visualization. And it's changing everything because it gives you such peace and such clarity. Okay? I want to play something for you. I'm going to look at your questions. Alexander, hey buddy. Thanks for watching. I love it. Love it. Any more questions, drop them down below. Like I said, I'm doing this for you live, so I will get to them if you have them. If you watch this later, which of course you can. I mean, it's Friday night. I'm bored as hell. I've been working in my office here at the house all day long, and I thought I'd jump on and do this for you. So if you're out having a good time, well, good for you. But you can watch this later, all right? I also have something I want to show you. And this is a video that Catherine and I did. And I'm going to show you two things. First, I'm going to show you probably one of the most important videos we've ever done. It's very short, but it's about the Great Awakening. And it's why we do what we do here. It's why this group is here. It's why we spend so much time trying to help you guys, because this is all about changing the world and everything in it. All right. So I'm going to show you this first, then I'll be back. I'm going to answer another question. We're going to talk about I'm going to talk about transcendental meditation, right? I'm also going to talk about, Catherine's going to pop in, talk about your screen time, limiting your screen time. But first, watch this.
Something happening behind the scenes that will soon transform the world in such a radical way that most people will be shocked. Right now, the world seems like a hopeless place. We've been conditioned for so long to believe that we're limited and helpless. We've been told that peace is impossible, that poverty is unfixable, that disease is natural, that human suffering is inevitable. We've been lied to. We've been brainwashed to think that the only way to effect change is to fight the status quo, to take to the streets and protest, to rise up in anger. But that's dead end that has never brought any lasting solution. Instead, something radically different has begun taking place and is gaining momentum. Certain individuals and groups of people have started remembering. They're remembering who they really are behind the illusion of physicality. They're remembering their divine nature. They're remembering that they're the superheroes and the saviors that they've been waiting for. And even though their numbers are relatively small, with their regained memories comes a power unlike anything the world has ever seen before. A power that will soon heal the entire world and set it free. This power is the power of consciousness, of divine light and love. And one person wielding this power can shine a light so bright that it literally transforms 5,000 people who are stuck in negativity and darkness. And far from being an abstract notion, this is being proven and measured. A scientifically controlled study led by German researchers at the University of Kassel has shown that while the average person's chest area emits only 20 photons of light per second, someone who is meditating on their heart and sending out love and light to others radiates a stunning 100,000 photons per second. That's 5,000 times more than the average person. And numerous studies have shown that when these photons are imbued with a loving and healing intention, their frequency and vibration rises to the point that they can literally change matter. They can heal disease and transform negative events. And when groups of meditators who emit light and love assemble, the effect is so exponential that the impact is truly staggering. Over the past 30 years, there have been 23 scientific studies on mass meditation, which have been carefully scrutinized by independent scholars and accepted for publication in leading peer-reviewed academic journals. In every case, the research has shown marked reductions in crime, terrorism, and war in their respective geographic areas and even globally. Stop and think about this mind-bending, reality-altering fact. It's showing us the way forward to real, lasting change, because the truth is that the underlying substratum of our entire world is simply energy. Change the energy by imbuing it with light and love, and the world has to change. In fact, that's the only way it will ever change, because all other seeming solutions work only on the surface level of matter, instead of the energetic blueprint that actually creates reality. And to change it, the time has to be now. Now is the time to join the army of light warriors that have been building across the globe. Now is the time to rediscover your true divine power and put it to use to change the world. Now is the time to stop waiting for saviors and instead to embody the truth that will set you and everyone else free. This army is not one that wages wars. It's not one that judges, condemns, and attacks. It's an army of heart-centered beings who use their divine power for the highest good of all, who stand up for goodness and freedom, not through anger and protest, but through embodying higher consciousness and sending out the transformative energy of light and love. And the world thinks they're crazy. It calls them naive idealists. It laughs at them. Yet this is the same world that has been raging with violence and war, poverty, and disease. So tell me, who are the sane ones? This is the same world that used to burn people at the stake if they thought empowering beliefs. It's the same world that has killed and tortured countless souls. And despite the efforts of so many with good intentions, it remains an insane world filled with atrocities. Why is this so? Because good intentions aren't enough. The world cannot change by working merely on the physical front. The change needs to come from the underlying foundational and energetic front. That's why what's happening now is so different. Never before in our recorded history are so many souls waking up to the truth that we are beings of light who have the power to change our reality. And that's why this army will be the last army ever built. Because after our work is done, no other armies will be needed in the world. No wars will be raging. Peace will finally prevail. But this energetic battle is far from over. We can't simply spout empowering words and go on living as we used to. We need to do something. We need to send out the light every day to those we like and especially to those that we don't. We need to visualize the earth of our dreams every day. We need to sit in silence and meditate on the feelings of love and peace in our inner world every day. Even if only 5 or 10 minutes can be spared, we need to do it every day. Start with just 10 days to build a habit, and you can go from there for the rest of your life. Remember, your light can erase the negativity of 5,000 people who are stuck in lower consciousness. That's your power. No one can do this for us. It must be us. It must be you. And when you radiate this energy of higher consciousness, not only will our outer world start reflecting it, but your personal inner world will be enriched beyond measure. You will finally have the peace, the fulfillment, the abundance, and the joy that you've been seeking. In fact, this inner transformation is what causes the outer one. And so I call you now to join this army of light. I call you to let go of the limiting beliefs and conditioning that tells you you can't make a difference, or that you have to fight for change in physical ways out there in the world. And I call you to take command of our collective destiny by committing to do this sacred work each and every day. Make time to meditate. Make time to visualize loving light pouring from your heart to the world. Make time to love and forgive and uplift every day. Your efforts are not in vain. Science has proven the stunning effects. Don't listen to your brothers and sisters who are still spiritually asleep when they tell you what you're doing is pointless. They need you to live your truth now more than ever. Together, we can do this. Together, we will transform the planet. Together, we will create heaven on earth.
Do you guys meditate? Meditation is one of the most important things you can do in your life. It's part of my morning practice. It's part of my evening practice. I get up 2 o'clock in the morning if I have to fly somewhere just to be able to fit them in. It's that important. When I used to sit, my mind would go batshit crazy. My nose itches. I got to make lunch. I got to go to the mail. I got to do this. I got to do that constantly. But meditation over time allows you to harness that focus and that power. And if you don't meditate, I urge you, start tomorrow. Start with 5 minutes. It's 5 minutes. And there's different meditations that people do, mindfulness meditation, transcendental meditation. And transcendental meditation is a great meditation for people that have very busy minds. And that's the way I used to be. Because in transcendental meditation, you're repeating a mantra over and over inside your mind. Okay? The practice of meditation has been around forever. I mean, it's tied to ancient Egypt and China. It's, all these different religions and that sort of thing. But it's not a religion. Meditation is more like a mind hack. There's such mainstream attention right now on, self-help, self-development. But there's a science behind the positive results of meditation. Meditation is part of your self-care toolkit. And it's something that you should use. You've got it. You've got it. And you should use it every single day. Because what happens, it will create for you. It'll create balance. It'll create clarity. It'll create calm in your life. I've spent 30 years performing. I started out as a magician. I worked as a mentalist and a speaker. And I've worked all over the world, literally every country in the world, from Russia and Egypt and Germany and everywhere. And I'll tell you what, I would wake up in the middle of the night with such anxiety and such a feeling of anxiousness, a sickness. And I never know why. That feeling never went away for years and years and years. You know what got rid of that feeling? Meditation. Meditation. Transcendental meditation involves silently repeating a mantra. I do 20 minutes in the morning. I do 20 minutes in the evening. It's done commonly sitting, with the eyes closed in a chair, straight back. You can sit cross-legged on the floor. Very important, though, that the back is straight. Transcendental meditation, again, it's not a religion, and I'm so sick of arguing with people. Meditation is not a religion. Meditation is a tool. It's not a philosophy. It's not a lifestyle. It's just a method. It's a method for achieving a greater sense of peace. It's a method for achieving a greater sense of calm in your life. Not to mention, it gives you the most amazing benefit of all, the most amazing gift of all. It allows you to be present. And again, that's when everything happens, is in the present moment. We are always fighting to get out of that moment, right? Whether you're searching for greater meaning, you're searching for relaxation, you're searching for relief from anxiety, whatever it may be, meditation can help. Now, the problem with it, I get these messages every day. It's intimidating. Especially when newbies come in and they hear about it and they hear that, oh my God, I have to sit for 20 minutes, and that's like the old line. If you can't find 20 minutes a day to meditate, then find 60 because you really, really need it. Anyone can do transcendental meditation. All right. So here's how you do it. Now, how it works normally in transcendental meditation is you go to a teacher. You're given your mantra. Your mantra is secret. Your teacher tells you it, and you don't tell it to anyone else. You don't really say it out loud. It's just what you're going to use inside your mind. And they make a big deal about this, and the transcendental meditation for most people is probably out of the budget because it's several $1,000s, pretty much to do something you can do at home yourself. All right. So the difference between transcendental meditation and anything else you've ever done before is that you're repeating the mantra in your head. All right. And it's the same mantra. The one you select is going to be the one you use for the rest of your life. The most important thing is that mantra cannot be something that you know. It can't be, like hamburger. It's got to be something that's just sounds, that's just a vibration that your mind can't picture, like, an ice cream cone or something, or that sounds like something else. So what you want to do is pick, syllables, string them together, whatever it is, over and over and over again. You don't want to say things like love, because your mind will start going. You want something so generic and so basic that your mind will start repeating it for a while, and then your mind is eventually going to transcend. You will go above your mind. That's what transcendental means. You go above your mind. All right? Because in most meditation, and this is why I talk about transcendental meditation for people that have very active minds, because in most meditation, they're asking you to clear your mind and to push thoughts out of your mind. That's what people find so hard and so difficult about meditation. But transcendental meditation is different because it allows you to see the thoughts as they come and they go. You don't fight them. You don't try to push them away. You let them appear. And eventually, like I said, you will go above them. So normally you would find a certified teacher. There is a transcendental meditation website. I know David Lynch is very big with that. Jerry Seinfeld, Howard Stern. There's so many people. Howard Stern's a great example. Here's a guy who, when I was younger, this is a shock jock who, had PO'd so many people and was, always being fined by the government. And, when he would go after someone, he really was like a dog with a bone, and, he could ruin your life. Transcendental meditation changed him, and he's completely a different person today, So if you want to try this tomorrow, here's what you do. Sit in a comfortable chair with your feet on the ground and your hands in your lap. You can touch your fingers together. You can, put your palms on your knees. It's completely up to you what you want to do there. And then what you're going to do is you're going to close your eyes and you're going to take a few deep breaths, really deep. You're going to breathe in, maybe take about 7 seconds and breathe in. Hold it. And then release through your mouth. And you're going to do that 4 times. Okay, so that's what we're going to do at the beginning. And that's kind of grounding you. It's getting you there. All right. Now, to find your mantra, all you're going to do, just go online and look up mantras for transcendental meditation. They're nonsense mantras. They cannot be something from life. So all you're doing is finding something that you can say, that you can hear in your mind. It's a vibration. It's not the word. It's the vibration, the sound. All right. So what you do then is, after you've taken those breaths, you're deep, right? You've got your eyes closed, your back is straight, hands on your lap. You then start repeating that mantra into your mind. And you don't do it the same speed. You maybe go fast, go slow, in, out, but that's all you're doing, okay? And then when you recognize that you're having a thought, you just return to the mantra. And what this does is it allows you to build tremendous focus abilities. When we're little kids and we're in school and you're not following what the teacher says, she will say, you need to learn how to focus. I guarantee you never were taught that, because nobody ever was. They just think it's something you should know. When you really learn how to focus, changes everything. So anytime you start having a thought, just remember that voice in your head is not you. It's just the conditioned past. That's the first thing to remember. But also remember that when you hear something else, you feel something else, you go right back to the mantra. Set your clock. Start with 5 minutes. You want to get up to 20 morning and evening if you can. You'll start to see changes in your life, right? Then when you're done, the alarm goes off, open your eyes. You sit for a minute or two, just kind of feel yourself getting, coming back. When you do this, you start to feel the stress melt away in your body. You start to feel a sense of calm, and you start to feel a sense of connection that maybe you haven't felt before. You start to tingle. You start to get, my jaw starts to, I have to unclench my jaw. My face starts to vibrate. All sorts of things will happen to you when you start to really do this. So it makes you be more focused. It makes you be more productive. It makes you more peaceful. It makes you more proactive. It makes you less reactive. And anytime you're less reactive to the situations around you, especially the ones that are out of your control, that's amazing. Now, I'm here in Cleveland, and this is where the Cleveland Clinic is, and they've been doing research on this topic, on meditation. And I actually saw a news story not long ago. Their research on the benefits of meditation are ongoing, but existing research that they've done indicates regular meditation helps improve sleep, improves pain management, improves self-esteem, improves concentration. It even decreases menopausal symptoms and the severity of symptoms of irritable bowel syndrome. It goes on and on and on. It's a tool to help people achieve a positive state of mind and a deep sense of inner peace. Disease. Think about the word disease. Disease in the body. Dis-ease, not at ease. Stress, anxiety, that is a killer. Heart attacks. It's killing us. It's killing us as human beings. Being able to connect to yourself in meditation is one of the most powerful gifts you can give yourself. So, try it tomorrow, just 5 minutes, and see if Transcendental Meditation works for you better than just regular, especially if you've done that before. If you're one of those people that has a problem sitting still and your mind is going crazy and you just can't meditate, that's what you think anyway, which again, that's just a story you tell yourself. But try Transcendental Meditation and see if it works for you. All right. Now, next, I'm going to answer the last question, and then Catherine has got a little something for you. All right. So the last question we received today, there aren't any more live questions, right? I will look and see. If you have a question, we still have a few more minutes. Just drop them down below. I can see them because we are live. This is live. And if you are ever interested in doing, coming on and asking a question, making a video, or doing a live video chat, I would love that. I would love, for people to be able to see this in action. It's one thing for me to sit here and tell you about the changes I've been through and changes our other clients have been through, but to see your peers and to see each other, it's an amazing experience. So if you would like to do that sometime, you just let me know. Send me a message. All right. So this question was, why do I self-sabotage? And, it happens all the time. I did a video on this a couple of months ago. It can come, well, first of all, from a fear of failure. It can come from a fear of rejection, of not meeting your own expectations and others' expectations. And what happens is self-sabotage becomes a way to preserve ourselves from pain and from disappointment. If you have low self-esteem, then you've probably been down this rabbit hole way too many times. You're sabotaging yourself. You're sabotaging your way to happiness. You're sabotaging yourself from good relationships, from promotions, from recognition. Your behavior may leave you to wrestle your own mind. It may seem bizarre, right? Or counterintuitive to everything you stand for. To buy comfort food when on a diet, to call a drinking buddy when trying to become clean, or to binge watch movies instead of spending time preparing for an important project or something. We all generally want the best for ourselves. So why do we try to sabotage our chances of getting what we want when we've worked so hard for it and we rightfully deserve it? This was a huge thing for me. It was a huge thing, there's almost something in you sometimes that thinks, if you know what your passion is and the one thing you want to do, you're almost afraid to give it your all, because if it fails, what are you going to do? That's your passion. You'd be heartbroken. That is self-sabotage. That's one of the biggest ways that it comes out, right? We all generally want the best, but self-sabotage is something we do when we're thwarting our own intentions. We're blocking our own goals. We do it because we want something, and then we fear we might get it, so we won't be able to handle it, and then we ruin everything. It could be getting a promotion or finding a relationship or starting that business that you want to start. So why not save ourselves from the pain and the embarrassment and the disappointment if we mess up and kill all the chances in their infancy before we can get hurt? Is it logical? No. It doesn't have to be logical. It's our subconscious was programmed when? Before we were 10. We were kids, little children. We weren't thinking like adults then. Self-sabotaging is a fear of failure and a fear of success, all at the same time. If you're looking at it from any other perspective, you're not seeing the truth. So let's unpack what is causing these self-destructive behaviors. Well, the number one thing is a negative self-image. People with low self-esteem are especially prone to self-sabotage. You know why? Because they're not fond of themselves. They often behave in ways that reaffirm these beliefs, and then they purposely seek out self-embarrassing situations and failure. The inner dialogue goes along the lines of, I knew it. You're a loser. You do not deserve this. They're going to figure out what a fake you are. You are not good enough. No one likes you. And on and on and on. It is a self-destructive way of living. But there's a perfectly reasonable explanation for it. It's called cognitive dissonance theory. And it says that we want to try to maintain consistency between our beliefs and values on one hand and our actions on the other. So listen again. We want to maintain consistency between our beliefs and values on one hand and our actions on the other. Therefore, when something happens that clashes with our core, we most often change our actions to align them with what we regard to be true about ourselves. Therefore, if you feel worthless, you may go out of your way to validate your own self-beliefs and elicit similar reactions from other people, just so that you can prove to yourself that you were right all along. And remember, being right is not the way to do things. Being right doesn't get you what you want. You can still win all these games and you don't have to be right. What else? Well, a fear of greatness. Fear of greatness creates self-sabotage. It's the dread of self-actualization, and it's the dread of becoming who we are destined to be. You know, who was it? It was Maslow, who talked about the Jonah complex, which is the fear of one's own greatness. It's the evasion of one's destiny, or the avoidance of exercising one's talent. It comes from the Bible story of Jonah, called to warn the citizens of the city about God's divine wrath. But he hopped a boat instead and wound up in the belly of a whale. Well, we fear our highest possibilities. We're generally afraid to become that which we can glimpse in our most perfect moments, under the most perfect conditions, under the conditions of great courage. We enjoy and we even thrill to the possibilities that we see in ourselves in such peak moments. In those moments when we're in the zone, when everything seems to be moving at our command and in slow motion. We simultaneously shiver with weakness, awe, and fear at the same time because of those same possibilities. So often we run away from the responsibilities suggested by nature, by fate, even sometimes by accident. We often talk about the fear of failure, but feeling unworthy can also come from being scared of success and feeling that we may be unfit to handle it. Now, one of the other big reasons for self-sabotage is, of course, self-preservation. People with low self-esteem live in fear of rejection, failure, not meeting their expectation. So it's a way to preserve themselves. Ultimately, it's the fear of getting what you want and then being dissatisfied because it's not what you expected. Either way, either that or, you may disappoint others once they see the real you, that you're not the person they think you are. But either way, the outcome is the same. You've undermined yourself. You've hurt yourself. You've disappointed yourself and others. Overcoming self-destructive behavior is possible. It just requires a level of introspection. And I've talked about it tonight. You've got to take a real hard look at yourself, your true self. You have to understand the source of these actions, and then you confront them. Finally, self-sabotaging comes down to negative self-opinion, to the core of what we believe that we are. One way to successfully change what you think of yourself is to view yourself more broadly. Back in the 80s, there was a psychology professor at Yale who proposed a model of self-esteem that was called the self-complexity theory. It focused on self-knowledge and specifically how we choose to define ourselves. We all have different aspects or roles that we play, such as mother, father, boyfriend, husband, professional, whatever it is. The more of these self aspects we use to describe ourselves, the greater our self-complexity. So seeing yourself as more than one thing helps with your self-esteem, as your self-image is not tied to the successes and failures in only one area. So what can you do to fix it? What can you do to change it? Well, you make small incremental changes. Because often we self-sabotage because we feel intimidated by some huge goal that is hanging over our head. You know, a sudden success or public recognition. You have to be aware of these triggers and be prepared. The idea is to reduce the unease that comes from shooting for the stars, feeling overwhelmed by the big goal and by what you may do once you actually get there. Self-sabotage doesn't have to be here to stay. We always put too much pressure on ourselves. We're always driven by ambition. We're driven by a desire to succeed, to be perfect, or simply because we want to be happy and rich and fulfilled right now. We want to be happy and rich and fulfilled as soon as possible. We want to be happy and rich and fulfilled yesterday. That's what's wrong with us. This often flares up the problem because it makes our anxieties grow. It makes us spin out of control into fear. What if I fail? What if I'm not good enough? What if what my mother said was true? What if they see my flaws? Being in the limelight requires courage. And it doesn't mean being on stage as a celebrity. It just means taking your place, following your own path. Now, it comes harder to those who are shy and introverted or are people with low self-esteem. But when you think that the pendulum has swung way too far from your comfort zone, or that you must be crazy to dream those big dreams, just remember what Abraham Maslow experienced when he asked his students which among them would write a great novel, be a great composer, or be a great leader. Well, generally, everyone starts giggling, blushing, and squirming until I ask, if not you, then who else? Which, of course, is the truth. If you deliberately plan to be less than you're capable of being, then I warn you that you'll be deeply unhappy for the rest of your life because you'll be evading your own capacity and your own possibility. All you've got to do is ask yourself one question. Is a life full of regret for unmet dreams really worth living? What are you waiting for? What are you waiting for to happen before you're going to make the moves that you need to make? You know what you need to do. You keep putting it off. You keep delaying it. It's time to take control of your destiny. Now, Catherine has recorded a video. We did something called 10 strategies to supercharge your life. And we did these together. These are so powerful. And several people have talked about these lately. So we have a very short one that talks about the importance of limiting your screen time. And especially now, we are being destroyed. Social media is going to destroy us eventually because it's taking away reality and it's putting us in a weird situation. All right. So Catherine is going to be talking today about limiting your screen time. So give her a couple of minutes and enjoy this. 10 strategies to supercharge your life. Then I'll be back with some closing comments. Questions or comments? You still got a few minutes. Drop them up there.
So I'm here with you today to share our next strategy, which is something that I would trust and hope that we all know, but is it something that we all actually apply to our own life? So this strategy is about limiting your screen time. Yes. Over these past few years, the amount of screen time that each individual uses has increased on average by 34% each year. Yeah, I know, it's a crazy number, isn't it? So we're well past the 100%, well and truly, just in these last couple of years. The thing is that screen time can be a real procrastinator's hangout. We can hide out there. When we do so, we feel typically incredibly guilty. We know that we shouldn't be wasting our time in there. We get angry with ourselves. We feel this wave of kind of regret fly over us because we're not fully living and engaged in life. Now, with all of the people who I've worked with over the years, like, they are so stringent in regard to how they spend their time, and particularly over these last few years with the massive increase in the noise that's out there and what's going on in our devices, on our computer screens and on our phones, they've become even more diligent. The thing is that when we sit in this place of hiding behind our screens, procrastinating, which is typically what happens because we're goofing off, is that energy, negative energy or charge builds up in our body. And then when we do that, like, what happens then, it becomes another stop, another block, that we once again have a whole new level of not setting out to do what it is that we wanted to do. So look, I'm not denying that screen time can relieve tension by any manner of means. It can be lovely to sit down with the family and watch a beautiful movie on Netflix. Like, I'm not saying it's all bad. I'm not saying it's all wrong, but I'm just saying to be wise, to be mindful. I'm going to give you an exercise at the end of this strategy so that you can go through the process of doing your own audit in regard to how you spend your time. We can zone out in screen time. We can go into a trance in screen time. We become literally like a zombie because we're like, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So how diligent are you? And anybody who I know who reaches any level of success, they are incredibly diligent with this. Super tight, super strict, because we only have a limited amount of time and energy. So how are we investing that? For those of you who haven't seen the doco, The Social Experiment, do so. Have some screen time and use it to learn. It is really powerful. The thing is, with our screens, with our devices, with all these distractions that we've got going on, as individuals, we are typically becoming more isolated, more separated, more stressed. Yeah, true story. Like, you know, you can't make love to your device. Let's be honest. You need a real person in front of you to connect with, someone to speak to live. There's an interaction, there's an energy flow, there's an energy exchange. The thing is, with any device, it's just about taking in energy. Now, that's awesome if you're using it for your own growth, if you're using it to learn. Again, I'm not saying that screen time is a bad thing, but what are you using it for? Like, I spend hours literally between my phone and my computer, no doubt about that. But it's always about learning more, and it's always about outflowing, about giving more, doing little exercises like this where we can share knowledge with you. And clearly, guys, if you've come along with us this far, you're using your device, you're engaging here, it's been a blessing. Again, it's not all bad. Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater, as the old saying goes. But just be really diligent in regard to how you're using your screen time. You want it to be able to feed your mind. Our education system and our society really under-equips us to live a successful life, to grow a successful business, to be financially free. So use what you can on your screen time to support you in those areas. And as I said, just like you're here, in regard to spending some time being able to discover and learn more about yourself, that unto itself is a beautiful thing. So take some responsibility. No, take all the responsibility for your learning, because you're the only one who can actively engage in it. You're the only one who can make your own discoveries. You know, there's so much that we can learn about ourselves, our lives, business, how they all work every single day, without a shadow of a doubt. And I don't think any of us will stop learning, unless of course we choose to, until our dying day, because there's such an abundance out there for us. So this growth task is fundamentally just audit your screen time. Does it serve you? Is it moving you forward? Do you feel more disconnected the more screen time that you have? Is it supporting you in taking you to that place of who it is that you want to be and creating the kind of life that you want? I know without any doubt, all those people that I've worked with over the years, as I've said once again, are so diligent in regard to this. It's your time, it's your energy. You've only got a certain amount of it in this lifetime. Lord only knows how many lifetimes we may or may not have, but we've just got now. So be mindful. Be so very, very mindful of your time, of your energy, how you're using that, what your screen time is actually giving you. Is it feeding you and moving you forward, or are you hiding out and procrastinating? So guys, do your own self-audit in regard to this. Make some changes. Sure, easy said. Support yourself in making those changes though, by putting reminders in, by getting some apps in on your computer or on your phones that put in locks in regard to the times of when you can and can't use it if you're really struggling with this process. Always find ways to support yourself in regard to making the change, because it's easy to just say, oh yeah, I'll change it. But we've got life and living, we get distracted and we forget. So support yourself in the process, be diligent in regard to what you're using your screen time for. Please, please, who you are is so precious, and what you bring to this world is incredibly precious. And you can't do that hanging out behind a screen. Alrighty, my friends, take good care and we'll see you on the next strategy. Much love. Bye.
All right. Fantastic advice, right? I have that on my phone. It tells me how much time I've spent on my, on social media. It's scary. It's so scary. So if you're coming into this video late, that's okay. We did this live. If you've got questions or comments, you can always put them in the comments down below and we'll get to them next time. But we answered 3 really big questions. We talked about self-sabotage. We talked about how can I let things go. We talked about releasing self-doubt. Those are 3 huge things. So just right there, you've got some big issues you can tackle and start making positive and lasting change. Catherine told us about limiting our screen time. Super, super, super important. And I also talked about transcendental meditation. Now, if you don't meditate, or if you do it and you're not sure you're doing it right or whatever, we do have an ebook. It's Unleash the Power of Mindfulness Meditation. And it takes you from the very beginning and walks you through how to do it. If you're not doing it right, if you feel like, it's in vain and it's not getting you anywhere, this would be a great book for you. It's available in digital format. You can have it immediately. You can start using it right away. It's available at taylorwebb.org/shop. And again, it's Unleash the Power of Mindfulness Meditation. It's direct from my morning practice, how to overcome anxiety with the amazing, incredible power of mindfulness meditation. We have inside of us a power, a dormant power that is always there, but it's locked away. We don't know it. And it's activating that power. It's bringing it into our lives and changing everything. And we do that the easiest way, of course, through meditation. So again, taylorwebb.org/shop. And it is Unleash the Power of Mindfulness Meditation. Now, if you have not joined our Facebook group, why not? This is the time. We are a fantastic group of like-minded people. We are bounded together with a mission. Because it's not just a group. It's not just a community. This is a movement. It's all about awakening to the fact that there is so much more out there for us. It's awakening to the fact that life is not as we think it is. We'd love to have you. It's absolutely free. And we spend a lot of time with building content for you guys. All right. So join us. Invite your friends. Invite your family. If you have never supported us by buying a product or buying one of our coaching courses or something, that's fine. Because that's not what we're about. We have separate careers. This group is about you changing your life. If you want to support us, but you can't do it that way, that's okay. You know how you do it? By sharing and liking and commenting on everything we do. Because when you do that, our engagement goes up and more people see the community and more people come in and more people are helped. And in turn, we help ourselves. So what can you do to help us? Well, you can invite people to our Facebook community. You can invite your friends and your family members. There is something there for everyone. And it's an awakening to the power that we really have inside of us. Also, don't forget our YouTube channel. It's youtube.com/Taylor Web Television. Well over 200 videos. There's something there for everybody. And remember, this isn't just us talking about, boring crap from our lives and showing you what we ate for lunch. These are strategies. These are tips. These are mind hacks to change your life. You do not have to stay where you are. Where you're going, where your story is heading does not have to be the end of the story. You are the author of your own life story, and you are the director of your own life movie, and you can change anything. You're the writer, the director, the star. You are in complete control. All right? I also want to talk just a little bit about mindset coaching. Now, if you're ready, if you're someone that has been, working on yourself for a while, and you're now in the position where you're ready to start aligning yourself with your goals and your objectives and what really matters to you in life, well, guess what? It's time. It's time to start moving those goals forward, powerfully forward. You take your vision, you take your commitments, and you invest them with new possibilities and new power. What we do in mindset coaching is we focus on your specific interests. Those are the areas where you want to have breakthroughs, where you want to make significant impact in your life. Why not accelerate what you're out to accomplish? And why not address what matters to you in your life? I've spent 30 years, I say it all the time, I know it sounds like such bullshit, but it's the truth, learning about the human mind, touring the world, and teaching people about this amazing supercomputer we have inside. I have a proven coaching practice that you'll experience. It will give you it will give you immediate differences in realizing your goals. How does it work? Well, first of all, it's dynamic. It's one-on-one. And we do this, via the internet. We do this via Zoom. I am going to work with you to clarify what it is that you want. And then powerfully, we're going to align those goals. We're going to align those objectives with what matters to you. I will listen to widen perspectives, and I'll explore what it is you want to focus on, what you're passionate about, where you find yourself getting stuck, and which structures, practices, and time frames will support you in achieving those results. You will leave these sessions with a new freedom. You'll have taken steps forward to get what you want out of life, to accomplish finally what you've been waiting for. Create a short-term or long-term coaching relationship to empower you to fulfill your ongoing goals and objectives. Now, I custom tailor these for each and every client, and they're delivered in an amazing virtual way. We do virtual sessions. They're at all sorts of different various programs. We have 6-month sessions, and we have semi-annual, annual. If you are ready right now to start making lasting change in your life, then it's time. It's time to do something. It's time to stop putting your life on hold. It's time to hit that pause button and resume living the life you were meant to live. If you'd like some more information, go to brentwebb.info/coaching, and it's all there for you. There's a video I've done for you as well, but take a look at it. We have 2 positions open. We take just 10 clients at a time. We have 2 open. If you're interested, take a look at it. I'd love to have you. Send me an email. We can talk about it. All right. So again, it's brentwebb.info/coaching. brentwebb.info/coaching. Now, I'm going to be back tomorrow. We're going to have another video for you. I'll be back again Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Each and every week, we're uploading brand new content because this group, this community, this family is all about you. It's all about you. It's helping you attain your goals. It's helping you reach the life that you always wanted to live. That's why we're here. So tell your friends, tell your family, and we would love to have them. So bring them into the community. All right. I'm going to close today the way I close, all of my programs with a little bit of advice. My favorite TV show of all time, not The Love Boat, although I do love Kevin McLeod, who just passed, unfortunately. This was the man, but still my favorite show was probably Dallas. So I'm going to leave you with some advice from the late, great Larry Hagman. It goes like this. Don't worry. Be happy. Feel good. I will see you back here tomorrow. Go out and enjoy your Friday. Have some fun. I'll see you later.